All right, let's just jump right into a topic that is, well, way more complex than you might think. We're going to explore the incredible, intricate symphony of hormones and nerves that are in charge of male reproduction. And believe me, it's a system that's far more nuanced than most of us realize.
Most of us probably think of erection and ejaculation as a single unified process, right? One just kind of flows into the other. But from a neurophysiological standpoint, is that really what's going on under the hood? Let's unpack the science.
So what does the science actually say? Well, it's pretty clear. They're not the same thing at all. Not even close. An erection is what we call a neurovascular event. It's all about blood flow, and it can be sustained for a while. Ejaculation, on the other hand, is a neuromuscular reflex. It's a quick, powerful event that's over in seconds. They are literally run by completely different systems in the body.
Okay, to really get a handle on how this all works, we've got to start at the top. We need to meet the management, so to speak. And in the male body, that management team is a really sophisticated chain of command that's run by hormones.
And this whole thing is run by something called the hypothalamic pituitary gonadal axis. I know, it's a mouthful, but just think of it like a company's chain of command. Up at the top, you've got the CEO, the hypothalamus. It sends out directives, these little pulses of a hormone called GnRH. Those orders go down to the managers, the pituitary gland, which then releases two other key hormones, LH and FSH. And where do they go? Down to the factory floor, the testes, to get the actual work done.
Now, here's where it gets really cool, the division of labor. Those two manager hormones, LH and FSH, have very specific, separate jobs. LH goes to one type of cell, the Leydig cells, and tells them one thing: make testosterone. Meanwhile, FSH goes to a totally different set of cells, the Sertoli cells, and gives them a different order: start making sperm. Two different hormones, two different cells, two different jobs. Super efficient.
All right, so we've met the execs. Now let's head down to the factory floor and see where the real work gets done. We're going inside what are called the seminiferous tubules. These are these tiny, coiled tubes inside the testes where sperm are actually built from scratch.
So get this, 74 days. That's about how long it takes to make one single mature sperm cell. From a basic stem cell all the way to a fully formed spermatozoon. This is absolutely a marathon, not a sprint. And this whole 74-day journey, it's not just one step. It's broken down into three key stages. First, the initial cells just divide and multiply. Then comes the second stage, and this is where the magic really happens: meiosis. The cells literally cut their chromosome count in half. And finally, stage 3 is this radical transformation where these round, simple cells grow a tail and become the streamlined swimmers we all recognize. So what you have to remember is that this whole factory runs on two essential types of workers. You've got the Sertoli cells, which are kind of like the nurses. They support and nourish the developing sperm. Then you have the Leydig cells, the hormone producers. They're stationed just outside, constantly pumping out the testosterone that fuels the entire operation.
Okay, so hormones are like the high-level corporate strategy, right? They set the big picture. But when it's go time, when you need immediate action, that's when the nervous system takes over. You can think of it as a neural superhighway, an advanced electrical grid that carries out these split-second commands.
And what an incredible network it is. You've got signals starting way up in the brain, zipping down the spinal cord, and then branching out in the super complex web of nerves that goes directly to the sexual organs. Everything has to be coordinated perfectly.
And if we zoom in on the spinal cord itself, it's not just one big command center. It actually has three distinct departments, you could say. You've got the parasympathetic system, which is the master of erection. Its job is to relax muscles. Then there's the sympathetic system, which manages the first part of ejaculation. And finally, the somatic system, which handles the final, forceful muscle contractions. See? 3 separate systems for 3 very separate jobs. This is a huge clue.
All right, so we've looked at the hormone management, we've seen the neural superhighway. Now let's finally decode the 2 big events this whole system is designed to control: erection and ejaculation.
So, first up, erection. At its core, it's basically a hydraulic event. Those parasympathetic nerves send out a signal, the smooth muscle in the arteries relaxes, and that opens the floodgates. Blood rushes in, fills the tissue, and that's what creates rigidity. It's all about blood flow. It's a neurovascular event, plain and simple.
Now, ejaculation, that's a whole different ballgame. It's not about hydraulics, it's a muscular reflex. Think of it like a perfectly timed 2-act play. Act 1 is emission,
where the sympathetic system orchestrates getting all the semen into the urethra. Then comes Acts 2, expulsion, where the somatic system takes over and commands these powerful rhythmic muscle contractions to propel everything out. And this is where it all comes together. A quote from Dr. Francois Giuliano really just says it all. Erection is not a prerequisite for ejaculation to occur, and each sexual response can exist without the other. The key takeaway here, the thing to really let sink in, is that these two events are completely independent, physiologically speaking. They're distinct.
Okay, so you might be thinking, this is fascinating biology, but why does this separation actually matter in the real world? Well, it turns out it has massive implications for our health and for how we treat a whole range of medical conditions. Because these systems are separate, you can have a problem with one and not the other, which is crucial for doctors. Take erectile dysfunction, or ED. It's often a vascular issue, right? A blood flow problem. And because the arteries involved are smaller than the ones in your heart, ED can actually be an early warning sign for cardiovascular disease. On the other hand, premature ejaculation is a reflex timing issue, which is why medications like SSRIs, which affects nerve signaling, can help. And here's the ultimate proof. After some prostate surgeries, men can still have the muscular contractions of an orgasm, but with no emission, a so-called dry orgasm. That perfectly shows you how the two phases are separate.
So when you peel back the curtain on just this one biological process, you find this stunningly complex symphony of hormones, nerves, and muscles all working together in perfect harmony. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What other intricate biological masterpieces are running the show inside of us every single moment that we just completely take for granted?